month. Oh. Tired already.
It's late for us.
Live from an ESG sound effect. What does ESG sound like?
I don't know. Some people really don't like it, though.
It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants featuring analyst Holden and spreadsheet whisperer Matt Moscardi. I don't like that spreadsheet whisperer.
Why am I a spreadsheet whisperer this
You're not.
week?
I'm gonna delete that. On today's Glass Lewis-inspired banter festival called July 8th, 2025, the Who Do You Blame game. Yeah.
Should we explain?
You don't sound excited.
Look, I'm not a passive-aggressive person.
Well, I am. I'm sarcastic and passive-aggressive and aggressive.
I'm snarky and I'm aggressive, but I'm not passive, I guess, is what I should say.
I don't even mean to be passive-aggressive. I'm just a wise ass.
But right now we're bantering.
Well, barely.
And this show contains sound effects. And I know, like a close friend of the show, somebody I respect, who's got a lifetime of work. We both respect Jim McRitchie. He's like one of the great shareholder rights activists of the past 2 decades. He does not like it when we play sound effects and banter. And said so on LinkedIn without saying it to us. He said it while promoting a different podcast, that he was like promoting the podcast and saying, at least this one doesn't have banter and sound effects.
Well, the good news is that we're not very good at banter, and our sound effects are from like the 3rd grade, so he has nothing to worry about.
I just want to say, Jim, I still love you. It's not a big deal, but we are going to do the sound effects because
I like that someone's noticing us. I don't even care if it's hate. I like it. I appreciate it.
The sound effects
I like the criticism.
They drive a point home, and the banter is because no one.
We don't have banter. We don't talk about ourselves.
No, but look,
I don't ask you about your family. Come on, we don't do banter.
But in comparison, we listen to like the CII podcast, the Council of Institutional Investors has their own podcast. Yeah. It is incredibly informative.
That's a banter fest.
It is incredibly informative.
That is like an episode of Seinfeld.
If you are the most wonky, nuanced lawyer interested in legislation around proxies, yes, but no, I don't. I go out and none of the kids are talking about it. I can't figure out why.
Well, there was a good review I saw on Spotify that said the CII podcast is the Woody Allen of podcasts.
Which part of Woody Allen?
It's like
some really unseemly.
It's like a late 1970s Woody Allen movie. Oh, come on, let's just do the show. Come on. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connection performance for free. Maybe what our detractors don't realize is that this is a labor of love. We barely make any money, and we put all of our sweat and equity into
you make money?
Everything we do. Everything. We do. I mean, even the research for this stupid game alone, I'm sorry, is probably more research than who? I don't even know than who. Do they do research at CII?
We're a team of 2 human beings. We're just 2. It's just 2 of us, right? We managed to sell data sets containing 220,000 directors to institutional investors that covers their performance, their influence, their knowledge, their connections to one another. We managed to put a platform up for free for anyone to look up directors on boards. We managed to do not 1, not 2, not 3, but we do 4 shows a week when you include the fact that we produce Mike Levin and Ann Lipton's wonderful shareholder privacy.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is we are not CII. We don't have a team of 10, and the least you can do is listen to our
Here's what I really want to know.
Sound effects.
CII. Someone from CII must be listening. Why aren't you inviting Matt to speak at your conferences? What's happening?
I don't know why. Like I feel
have him host a panel, have him give a speech, do something. What are you doing?
I mean, like we know
just because we're not super connected. You know, we're not like friends with all the old guard. Well, why can't you invite us, Matt? What do you do?
Well, ICGN, just have somebody put me in touch with the people at ICGN, and they didn't invite me either. It's like, you know what it is? I think I'm just really objectionable. I think that's probably.
Let me tell you this. Maybe this will sweeten the pot. Almost once a week, I walk right here in Maine on the compound owned. I'll walk with my mother on the public part of the compound owned by the grandfather of corporate governance, Bob Monks. Isn't that enough for an invitation? Who else in corporate governance does that other than me? I'm the only one.
Everyone who walks on part of that compound should get an invite somewhere. Yes. My point is, there's a tremendous amount
No one
of
from
research.
The family ever comes out to say hello to me, by the way.
There's a tremendous amount of research.
Come on, let's do the show.
Done by two people.
That was way too much banter.
All right, let's do this.
For the episode that Jim McRitchie's going to listen to, we're gonna edit that banter out. Okay, he's going to get the clean version.
Not going to happen.
All right, so the Who Do You Blame game. This is probably one of my favorite games. I don't know why, because it's the most effort. But here's what I do, Matt, and you too. I find a headline from the past few days, and I just ask, who do you blame? I have a list of possible culprits.
Whose fault is it? Yeah.
Whose fault?
Exactly.
Whose fault?
Yeah.
Let's start with an easy one. Here's the headline. The next phase of Starbucks turnaround plan is offering executives up to $6 million in stock grants as baristas scrap to get annual raises above 2%. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're making a big stink about they're having all the executive officers are getting a back to Starbucks bonus, and yet this is the company that is still negotiating with its workers, right? There's unionized store. You know the story.
I know the story.
Who do you blame? Here we go. Do you blame double boomerang CEO and founder Howard Schultz? And by double, I mean that he was CEO 3 different times, because first he was CEO
plus 2,
for a 13-year tenure. Then he boomeranged back for another 9 years, and then he boomeranged back again for a 1 year. So that's a double boomerang. Double.
Does it count if he's still emeritus chair of the board or something? Isn't
everything
he like an
counts.
emeritus?
Everything counts.
That feels like a triple boomerang.
Do you blame CEO and Chair Brian Niccol and his ridiculous $113 million Golden Hello package?
It's a big Golden Hello.
Do you blame the company's work-from-home policy, which allows said CEO to work from home in California while flying the company jet to Seattle?
Well, the baristas cannot work from home nearly as well as Brian Niccol can.
How about this interesting twist? Do you blame former Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer, who was appointed as a director to Starbucks 4 days before the announcement of these new ridiculous retention awards? 4 days before. Could it be her fault?
Was she put immediately onto like either the comp or the nominating committee?
Does it matter? Does it matter?
I'm just wondering. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Or finally, can you blame Compensation Committee Chair Rich Allison, the guy who passes every pay plan for whoever because he's the former CEO of Domino's Pizza, so he's really just only there to enrich other executives. He already owns $3 million of Starbucks stock, so he doesn't really care what's going on. And really, Matt, someone should be responsible for a CEO pay ratio of 6,666 to 1.
Yeah,
the highest I think I've seen, 6,666 to 1.
In fairness, they're trying to get that down to 6,664 to 1. Like that's.
So who do you blame? Who do you blame for this ridiculous award for doing their jobs? Remember, they needed a turnaround plan because this was the board that bungled CEO succession for years. So the only reason why they're bringing in Brian Niccol is because the company has kind of, it's needed help. So I don't really know how you get a bonus when the company is struggling under your watch, but that's a whole nother story, isn't it?
So the latest Starbucks workforce demographics that I have are 2020. And they said 8.4, just about, let's say 10% of the staff are baristas. There are 360,000. Yeah.
Only 8%?
They're not including like shift supervisors and store managers, just pure baristas. Okay, I'm just saying The only thing you do is a barista. That's that. And then there's like regional managers and district managers, all this stuff.
Are you talking about the job I'm going to have after this company fails?
Yeah, when we fail because and
I'm going to blame CII for that, by the way.
Let's say there are about 36,000. Let's say conservatively, there's 50,000 baristas. Okay, 50,000 out of which is. That's a lot. That's a lot of baristas.
Are you going to blame the baristas? Who are you going to blame?
No, here's what I'm doing. Yeah. If I divided 113 million in the Golden Hello package, that's $2,000 per barista if there were 50,000 of them.
Okay.
And according to the metrics, there's less than 50,000 of them.
Yeah.
Which means the only person you can that. With the average barista salary being like $18,000, that is a 10% raise for just the baristas.
I think in the proxy they put the median at about $14,000.
Even better. Yeah. It's a solid 10+% raise.
This is their reporting. This is Starbucks reporting. Yeah.
This is all I'm saying. The Golden Hello package alone would have covered 1 year of the 5 years of the 2% raise that they're scrapping for right now. The only person you can really blame here is Rich Allison, the compensation committee chair.
All right.
Because that's where Brian Niccol got his money, right?
That's true.
That's the guy who's got to sign off first. Obviously, Howard Schultz is going to make some final call, but he's of course going to pay whatever, right? He doesn't care. I'm going with Rich Allison. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's the right answer. Every answer you give is the right answer.
Oh, good. All right. Just making sure.
Mostly because I don't have the energy to argue about anything. All right, here's the second one. It's a very simple headline. Agios Pharmaceuticals. Agios. They're in our database. Agios. They're in freeflowanalytics.com if you want to play along. Agios Pharmaceuticals. The headline is Agios appoints Dr. Jay Backstrom to board of directors. Okay, that's the simple headline.
That's what is a boring headline.
Yeah, but we track all the headlines. We track every director addition to every public company that we can find. We tag them.
Yeah, we do.
We got them. All right, so why am I saying who do you blame? Because here's the backstory. Jay Backstrom was appointed as a Class 3 director as of July 8th. That's today, 20 days after the company held an election to appoint 2 Class 3 directors.
Wow, nicely done. So 2 full years.
Which means, do the math in your head. That means he'll be a director for not 2 full years, 2 years and 345 days, basically. Right? Something like that. Until they actually ask shareholders to vote on his, which is just absurd. I mean, how is this even allowed? So who do you blame for this nonsense? Do you blame the top 4 institutional investors who control 35% of the voting power? That's Farallon Capital, Vanguard, BlackRock, BB Biotech. Could you blame them? I mean, that's a pretty significant voting block, 35% of voting power.
That's a lot, yeah.
Do you blame the company's childish bylaws, which separate directors into 3 classes that are voted on every 3 years? I mean, you could, right? Because, I mean, although that's still, even if they didn't have a classified election, he still has a whole year to sit there. He could fail for an entire year, get all of his money before shareholders can even vote on him.
He will get all of his money. That's a guarantee.
3 years of money. Yeah, 3 years of money. Do you blame former CEO Jacqueline Foos, who stuck around to serve as board chair after being CEO for only 3 years? I don't really know why you blame her, but I had to put her on there. Or what about nominating committee chair, lead independent director Kay Foster? I mean, she's the one who, I guess, decided to pull the trigger on nominating and appointing this guy 20 days after the meeting. Or what about emasculated CEO Brian Goff, who actually has only the 3rd most influence on the board, according to our data, and who presides over a board with a plus 7% gender influence gap, which means that women are really controlling the voice of this company, really. So maybe he's angry and maybe he wants another guy, or I don't know.
Well, so one of those options, ex-CEO Jacqueline Faust, who is executive chair now, right?
Why? We don't really know.
she was just up for a vote this year.
Yeah.
So
she's one of the class 3 directors. And
won handily. It's like 45 million votes to just under 4 million votes. So 91, 94%-ish, 93%-ish win, which means not on here are just straight up in all investors who voted. Like, clearly no one cares about voting for anybody. So they would have just voted in this guy anyway, right? Like they were voting to have an executive chair on a classified board. That's effectively saying, like, you have 2 CEOs. The whole thing seems dumb to me. Because of that, I'm going to go with the top 4 institutional investors, although I would like to expand that to be all investors who cast a vote ever. Because you shouldn't own this company as a classified board.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's strange about this is that shareholders really have only been asked to vote twice on a woman who was CEO for 3 years and an executive chair for 3 years. So she's been there for like 6 years, and they've only had 2 opportunities to weigh in on her performance, really, which is absurd to me.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
Imagine.
it is nuts.
I just like to think of it this way. Every question about, like, a board member, just take that person and make them like the vice president of supply chain at a chemical company, and say, would it be okay for you to do 2 performance reviews in 6 years of the vice president of supply chain at a chemical company? Is that okay? Because that's effectively, investors are the boss of the board. That's effectively what you've allowed to happen. You basically said, we don't actually care about doing performance reviews. Not to mention the fact that when we do the performance reviews, we don't actually use any performance metrics on those people. And like, nobody really bothers. We're going to let those people do their own performance reviews of themselves, right? Like, it's usually the nominating committee that does a performance review of the directors, and they hire a third party and they pay the third party to do the performance review of them. There's no real performance review that happens. So would you allow that with your employees, like some mid-level manager at a bricklaying company? What are we doing? This is the dumbest thing ever.
Not to mention that I'm looking at the history of its stock price. She joined the board in 2017. She became CEO in 2019. Then she became chair in 2022. The stock price was about $100 in 2018. Now it's $36. I mean, it's not like this company's thriving when you just look at that metric, that one metric. So anyway.
And we're okay with a guy named Jay Backstrom joining the board with no vote, with
no
20 days. No investor scrutiny, no way to say we don't like them. Not that they say that anyway, because they voted in all the directors that were up for a vote anyway. But the whole thing is just like, wake up. Do your job.
I want this issue to be stolen. I want this issue that we talk about a lot now to be stolen by others and to be repeated out there. I want others to get to jump on our bandwagon and complain not only about classified boards, but the appointment of directors within 30 days of an annual meeting is just absurd, ridiculous.
We did a whole show on this on the Proxy Countdown, and we call them the plus 30s, which is anybody who's AGM plus 30 added to the board. And actually 50% of them we found when we looked at the last 5 years of data, 50% of them were at classified boards, meaning they were getting 2 years on the board with no scrutiny. I don't know why this doesn't show up at conferences and in talking points on other corporate governance podcasts.
It's too aggressive.
As literally the most backdoor way to avoid any scrutiny at all.
It's too aggressive.
It's unbelievable.
It's better to report that, there was a shareholder proposal asking about a report on GHG emissions that is 0.3% lower this year than it was last year. That's the...
Thank God that non-binding proposal got 17% support.
Let's move on in our Who Do You Blame game for July 8th, 2025. Now we get into the absurd. This headline, this whole thing is crazy. This whole story, the more I looked at it, it made my head spin. An anti-DEI investment firm Just that in itself and
That's
alone,
that's already a thing.
Drop the mic. I'm like, what's happening? This is 2025. An anti-DEI investment firm. Is that just like run by the Klan? Like, who runs that? Like, do they? Okay, well, let me just read the whole headline. An anti-DEI investment firm postponed its Tesla ETF, saying Elon Musk has gone too far by launching a political party. Okay.
Well, I mean, where do I even start with that?
The whole thing is madness, but let me just get into it. Let me get into it. So who do you blame? Okay, first of all, could you blame this ridiculous mission statement of Azoria? Azoria is that anti-DEI investment firm. Here's what they call themselves. Azoria is an investment firm with the mission of compounding capital for investors through a commitment to free thinking, excellence, and meritocracy. Now, what has Elon Musk done wrong? Why can't he form his own political party based on his own? I mean, that's free thinking, right? And I mean, I would assume that there's merit to his success if he's the richest person in the world. There's the meritocracy, and the excellence must be, conflated with those two things, right? I mean, he owns a lot of companies, the CEO. Are we allowed to get mad at Elon Musk for not following Donald Trump's path here? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I thought
I'm already confused. Is he not a free thinker, Elon Musk?
Don't the sort of Muskites, don't they herald Elon as the pinnacle of free thinking merit?
Yes. How can we be, and I can't believe I'm defending Elon Musk, but here's what's happening. I'm doing it. How can we be mad at Elon Musk? Why can't he form his own political party? This is America. This is a democracy. Well, this is a free democracy, right? I mean, supposedly.
Maybe they're saying he's a DEI hire because he's not from America originally.
They just saw the Africa part of South Africa and they freaked out a little bit.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
I mean, this is just, so I'm already confused. Because now I'm realizing, like, this is only about kissing Donald Trump's ring, right? Like, it's not about anything else. Everything else is just theater. Okay, that's the first thing. Do you blame their stupid mission statement? How about, do you blame the founder and CEO of Azoria, a guy named James Fishback? He's the CEO of a free thinking investment firm. That's what it says on the
free
copy.
Thinking. Got it.
A free, I don't even know what that means. A free thinking investment firm. I found one of his free thinking thoughts on Twitter. Here's one of his thoughts. We have an anti-American subculture that cancels the science fair in favor of drag queen story hour.
Never happened. That's never happened.
Forces colleges to spend more time teaching microaggressions than microbiology.
No, also never happened.
And teaches kids in America that Cardi B is a role model and Thomas Jefferson is a racist.
That might be true, actually. Cardi B is very, very rich.
But let's say that all of that's true. Isn't that just free thinking too? What are we doing here? What is it? I don't know what it means to be an American anymore. Is that the wrong kind of free thinking?
Yeah, drag queens aren't free thinking. They're inside the box.
And say I really like Cardi B as a political figure, as an artist. Is that not in my right? Is being an artist, is that closed-minded thinking? I don't even know how to unwind this quote. It's so stupid. I mean, this is a quote from an angry seventh grader.
That's not the first stupid quote he's ever had on the cesspool that is X.
I'm going to move on and keep talking about James Fishback, the founder and CEO of Azoria. First of all, Vivek Ramaswamy, who joined our show once upon a time, said his quote about Fishback was that he will become a major Gen Z star in our pro-American movement. Again, I don't know what that means. Are colleges and Cardi B anti-American? Is teaching kids about their emotions, is that anti-American? I'm kind of lost, but
all I know is that all the things that we thought growing up as Gen Xers, all the things that we thought were outside the box, like a drag show and talking about feelings, right? Like
that's not free thinking, a drag show. That
was all like
thinking.
Weird, like these guys are literally saying are inside the box. Those are not free thinking things. The free thinking things are capitalism. Or
certain types of capitalism, because not the capitalism that Elon Musk is exercising.
No, not his capitalism.
Because he's angry at Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is a walking science fair. He's doing rockets and he's doing tunnels and cars that run on electricity, right? That's like a walking science fair. Yeah. But not that kind of science fair. We want the other kind of science fair.
The story gets better here. Okay, so this guy loves the meritocracy. His whole anti-DEI movement's all about the meritocracy, which I couldn't really find a definition of. But whatever, it's a fine. We actually, James, we can help you with the definition of meritocracy. We have a lot of data that actually could help you define what works and what doesn't work, who's performing, who's underperforming. But that's beside the case. This guy... First of all, it took me a long time. I was like, this guy must be a genius, right? He must be really experienced. He must be a genius. I couldn't even find his educational credentials because it turns out that he dropped out of Georgetown University to establish a hedge fund when he was 21. So he didn't even graduate college. So
yeah, but okay.
I'm super confused about a meritocracy.
He's also the child of a bus driver and a Colombian immigrant.
Okay, but he doesn't have a college degree, so I'm a little bit more confused about what the meritocracy is. How do you know? You just smell success when you see it. You know it when you see it. It's like love at first sight. What is the meritocracy, Matt? I'm confused.
We busy kicking out all the immigrants because they don't have merit? So
I'm confused. I'm just trying to work through a story with you. But here's the best part of Azoria, this horrible anti-DEI investment firm. Here's the best part. Here's what I found on LinkedIn that there's only one other person, a partner. He's called an Azoria partner. His name is Saul Ehrlich. And this is what Saul says. This is the other guy. This is the partner at this meritocracy forward, this excellence forward investment firm, Matt. Saul says, he's stepping down from his last job before he joined Azoria. He says, "For my last day at Spectra, it's important that I share just how much this opportunity has meant to me. In June of 2023, that's 2 years ago, I was a 28-year-old mediocre EuroLeague baseball player with no job prospects outside of coaching. My only qualification to work in finance was my work ethic." And then he says it's with great excitement that I'll be taking this skill set to Azoria to be a partner and head trader, an opportunity I couldn't have imagined. An opportunity I could not have imagined 18 months ago, Matt. This is the excellence.
Wow.
This is the anti-DEI, anti-women, the anti-black people. And Matt, their ETF is very clear. They are just not supporting any Fortune 500 companies that have any whiff of a DEI policy, any mention of any hiring based on race or gender, because they're out on that. Clear
they've dramatically underperformed in all time horizons.
I mean, this is astounding. This is astounding. Yeah.
You are missing the point.
No,
the anti-DEI.
I'm not sure I am. Yeah.
This is the free thinking.
Which part? Which part's the free thinking
part? To hire a guy morons who's a failed baseball player in EuroLeague as your head trader. That's free thinking.
Yeah, this is what he also said. This is what he also said about James Fishback. This is what Saul said. He said, while the internet was introduced to James's talents this year, I've been aware of them since 2009 when we competed against each other in high school debate. So he knew him in high school.
See?
That's the meritocracy.
This is why Vivek is involved in there's a quote at all, right? Isn't this the exact Vivek Ramaswamy playbook?
What I really want to know is there's so many articles about this anti-ETF fund. How come none of this appeared in any of these articles? That's what I really want to know. Okay, but let me keep going on this one. Who do you blame for this anti-DEI investment firm? Do you blame me, Damion Rallis? Because as I'm looking at LinkedIn, Matt, I'm looking to find out information about this guy. I'm connected somehow to this guy, James Fishback, on LinkedIn. Me, I don't have that many connections. How did that happen?
I don't know. I now blame you.
Or finally, Matt, do you blame Greenlight Capital? Greenlight Capital is James Fishback's former employer, and maybe we blame them for making James angry because James Fishback is in a very newsworthy lawsuit with Greenlight Capital. I guess James Fishback, he lied about his credentials, allegedly. He called himself head of macro, and Greenlight was saying that...
that's why I know the name.
Greenlight was saying that he was never head of macro. Greenlight also said he never had any authority or discretion over investments, and he certainly was not responsible for an insane $100 million in profits as a mere research analyst. In fact, his contributions were so not insane that the hedge fund was about to fire him.
That's why I know the name. He was in Matt Levine's articles. Yeah, his
And what's even crazier, I thought that was crazy enough, right? Greenlight Capital is suing him for misrepresenting his job at Greenlight Capital. But what's even crazier is that in one of James Fishback's countersuit, I guess this is what meritocracy and free thinking is all about, and excellence.
Yeah.
He's claiming age discrimination against Greenlight Capital because David Einhorn, the guy who runs Greenlight, told Mr. Fishback that his compensation was, quote, a lot of money for a kid, end quote. That one comment, I guess, was enough for James Fishback, Mr. Anti-DEI guy, to sue.
To claim discrimination?
Age discrimination.
Isn't diversity
Matt,
age?
What is happening? Just tell me, what is happening? What is happening? Are we being taken over by morons? I mean,
just so we know.
I don't know what's happening.
His fund has $1.4 million in it, or $1.5 million.
Still, it's getting a lot of press. Gets more press than our company.
It gets press, but 0 people have invested it. $1.5 million.
Featured on Fox Business.
$1.5 million is the size. That's not even. It is $20 million away from profitable. Its largest, among its largest holdings, is. Strap yourself in. Apple, led by a gay man, is
still
one of its largest holdings for the anti-DEI ETF.
I want free float media, freefloatanalytics.com to have the same press as this moron. That's all I'm saying. But who do you blame here? Who do you blame?
I'm also confused because Azoria Capital, all of these far-right sort of like investor types, private equity types, startup types, aren't they only supposed to take things from Lord of the Rings now, like Palantir and... But Azoria is actually the name of like an archaeological site in Greece. Like,
yeah, they're all so clever. Yeah. This guy,
it actually,
maybe that's one of the courses he took before he dropped out. Maybe he took up something on ancient Greece.
It's actually the site of an Iron Age like archaeological site. So maybe he's taking all his cues from the Iron Age.
Good for him.
I'm definitely blaming you. I'm definitely. You're the one who's connected.
How did
to
I
him.
get connected? He must have asked me. I don't remember.
I don't know
why
how
would I
you're
reach
connected.
out to him?
I don't care how you're connected.
Maybe it's the Vivek connection.
You're connected to him. This is your fault.
I gotta say, I'm so exhausted by this that I'm gonna pass the mic to you. I'm dropping my next Who Do You Blame? I was gonna talk all about tech. There's a lot of articles going around how people are upset at a VC named Sean McGuire. He basically is calling out Zohran Mamdani. He's the Democrat. He won the Democratic primary for the New York City mayoral position in New York City. He said that Zohran comes from a culture that lies about everything. Sean McGuire he works for Sequoia Capital. He is as Trumpy as they get. If you want to be depressed, look at his Twitter feed over the last year. He just promotes every conspiracy theory, every hateful racist trope. This guy is a moron. But I'm not gonna bother the audience with another diatribe against another stupid,
anti-DEI
young
moron,
20-year-old like idiot. Like I can't take it anymore. I just can't. This is the guy who was also Sean McGuire. He is mad at Google because he said he wasn't promoted because he was a white man. This is his thing.
Oh,
so because there are no white men who are successful at Google, right? I mean, we know this, right?
Men at all. Men don't have positions at Google at all. All right, let me take the mantle here. I'll do 2, and then we'll come back to you.
I'm like sweaty. I'm exhausted myself.
All right, the first one is easy, a little bit wonky, and a little bit stupid. So I read. I don't know if you read the Activist Investor newsletter. I read the Activist Investor newsletter.
I might as well because it gets sent to my inbox somehow.
You should because it's there.
Yeah. It's there, so I read it. Yeah.
But I saw something today that piqued my interest. Forward Air was involved in a proxy battle with Ancora.
Yeah, we've covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ancora battled previously. Norfolk Southern won a bunch of board seats there. Now Forward Air had their AGM basically last month, and what piqued my interest was one throwaway line in the Activist Investors newsletter that said they still haven't released their 8K. The results of that have not been publicly released in an SEC filing, and it's been a month.
Is that even allowed? Yeah.
Well, this is what's confusing to me. Like, so who do you blame for Forward Air not releasing an 8K a month after the AGM?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you blame Charles Anderson, Robert Edwards Jr., and Michael Hodge, who own roughly 25 to 30% of the voting power on Forward Air, even if free float data does not actually properly show them as having that much influence on the board? There's some error where they're not listed as having that much influence, but they clearly do because they have nearly a third of the voting power of this board, of this company.
Yeah. I think it's because they're relatively new to the data set, so I think we're still ironing out some data issues there.
Do we blame Ancora themselves?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't help, but mere minutes after the AGM, they released a press release stating, quote, absent the more than 30% of shares that were legally committed to vote for the incumbent board, Chairman George Mays Jr., Javier Polit, and Laura Tucker lost in a landslide, highlighting the substantial level of concern regarding the legitimacy of the board's strategic review. We believe the resignations of these legacy directors will empower the board to carry out thorough assessment of value maximizing opportunities. Ancora put a press release out like that day saying we won in a landslide.
So they're just Ancora Forward Air is just being petty. You're saying they don't want to. They don't want to release the news that they lost.
I don't know, but maybe if Ancora hadn't put that out, like Forward Air would have put out the 8K 2 days later, like they normally do, and then Ancora could have said, "Look, we won," right? But maybe now it's just a petty battle. Do you blame Christine Gorjank, who's the chair of the audit committee? Because the audit committee oversees the filings ostensibly, right? Who was the chair of the audit committee at a company called Invitae, which is a genetic testing firm,
we just talked about them, I think. Yeah,
2015 to 2024 when they declared bankruptcy. So maybe she's just not that good of an audit chair. Like when you're the audit chair somewhere and they declare bankruptcy, maybe you should not be the audit chair somewhere else, just in general.
Okay.
Or do you blame Michael Hance, who's chief counsel of Forward Air, but also holds a master's in divinity and clearly could not divine where the submit button was on his iPhone to actually do the 8K?
I actually have inside information about this one. You would blame Michael Hance, chief counsel, because I heard that he thought that God would take care of it.
Wow. There it is.
Yeah. God. He wasn't aware that that
it was
people
his
company
job
investor
to do
relations
that.
have to do. Yeah, he wasn't.
Oh, it was God's. So then it would be God's fault for not doing it. Really,
I suppose, but no. That was not an option. No, it's not actually God's fault. No, it's actually Michael Hance. God never purported to release AK filings. I don't think that's something that God has.
God doesn't work at the SEC, I guess.
No. So,
all right. Well, that was a good option.
Look, that was a good one for I hope the CII is listening because that was a good one for CII. That was a good wonky.
Come on. There's an activist battle. There's drama. There's directors who probably got voted out, but we don't know. I like it. Here's my second one.
Yeah.
This is just a headline. No, Carnival Cruises is not banning rap music.
Oh, well, I'm sure Azoria Capital is upset about that. They probably... Isn't that DEI music?
The Carnival Cruise Lines denied reports circulating online that DJs aren't playing hip hop on their cruises.
That was really a rumor.
This is a real rumor. The cruise line has responded to claims circulating that in their sets they're not honoring song requests, and some social media users are saying the move is racially motivated.
Well, yeah, okay.
So who do you blame for this malicious rumor?
Go ahead. Oh, for the rumor.
The rumor, because we don't know if it's true.
Because you're saying it's not true, though.
Well, I don't know if it's true, but all I know is like they are saying it's a rumor. So who do we blame for the rumor, right? Like if rumors out there, who do we blame for it? Do we blame Carnival's zero black leadership team members, including a team led by Mickey Arison, who's been there for 1 million years? They do have 2 Hispanic men on the leadership team, Enrique Miguez and Gustavo Antorcha. But I consider them balanced out by the Scandinavian and Euro men who fill the rest of the, half the other roles on the board. So, on the leadership team.
Black people, they don't take cruises.
Okay.
Because there's no rap music. That's why they don't take cruises.
I'm gonna jump to that one.
Yeah.
Do you blame Christine Duffy, who's the head of Carnival Cruises, like the actual Carnival brand of cruises, whose prior role was she was the president of the Cruise Line Association, International Association, which put out a report in 2008 showing that 93% of cruise passengers were white.
Oh, I was joking, but that
you were joking, but 93% in 2008 were white.
Is that right? 93%?
Yes, that was their report. I've not been able to find. I looked in the last 4 years. I could not find an updated number in the last 4 years. In 2025, they did say, however, 1 in 4 cruise passengers came from either Texas or Florida.
Oh, that's
global.
Gross.
This is the International Association for Cruises, and internationally, 1 in 4 come from Texas or Florida, according to this. Duffy actually grew up in the Northwood, Philadelphia neighborhood, which in 1950 was 75% white, but by 2020 was 93% black. So maybe
I don't know where you're going with that stat.
I'm saying Duffy grew up in the white version of the neighborhood, and therefore maybe doesn't feel in touch with hip hop music.
So you think she's angry because her neighborhood got taken over?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Do you blame Carnival?
That's true. 93% of cruise passengers are white?
That's according to the 2008 report. That's all I got to say. How about in Carnival? How about you blame Carnival's board of directors?
Oh, now we're talking.
Which has 11 members and is 91% white.
Well, yeah, because that matches with 93. This is a classic chicken and the egg story, right? Is the board 91% white because 93% of cruise passengers are white, or are 93% of right? You see where I'm going with this?
I see where you're going with that.
Interesting.
The one black woman on the board is Nelda Connors.
Okay.
And she has a background in hydraulics and metals with a degree in mechanical engineering.
That's a good person. That's a good person to have on the board.
Maybe she's too nerdy for rap. I don't know. Like maybe
that's
it's
right.
like she's like she spent all of her time not at hip hop shows and all her time reading books, right? I don't think she was listening to Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah. No. Or finally, do we blame thinking hip hop is black music at all? Because it's not. Everybody listens to fucking hip hop. So
where do we? You're saying that because the rumor said that they banned hip hop because it's racially motivated.
It was racially motivated. So already built into the rumor is like a total misinformation about who listens to hip hop. It's not black music. It's not for black people. Get over it.
No, I'm not gonna pick that one. It's too woke.
Oh, come on.
Boy, Carnival zero black leadership team.
Yeah, it's hard to choose. There's so little diversity involved.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with zero black leadership team. That's a little. Where's Carnival headquartered? Do we know? Is it Florida, Texas? I mean, I think in 2025 when I see a U.S. company, especially one that reaches out to all people as part of their customer base, it's headquartered in a state in the South, I'm a little disturbed with the zero black leadership. A little upsetting. There's a lot of great historically black universities right down there in the South. I mean, there's a huge, amazing talent pool to draw from. So I'm not saying that black people only go to those universities, but I'm just saying there's a lot of black talent in the South.
I'm just saying,
let's be real.
They are not taking cruises. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Okay. All right. I didn't like that one. That one was upsetting. All right, let me finish this off with a few more Who Do You Blame games. These are a little bit quicker. Nothing like my earlier diatribe against, what was that guy's name? James Fishback? Azoria?
Jimmy Fishback.
Yeah, who's head trader and partner. It wasn't even qualified for his last job. Was qualified for nothing 18 months ago. Nothing.
Nothing. No, he wasn't qualified to
wasn't
sit
even
the
a good
bench.
baseball player. Wasn't even a good baseball player.
To sit the bench in a EuroLeague baseball team.
So, yeah, James Fishback, we're actually connected. Call me and help me understand what the meritocracy means given that context of your company. Okay?
Yes. What's your meritocracy?
Here's a headline. People are boycotting Etsy over alligator Alcatraz merch. Calls to boycott Etsy are growing since alligator Alcatraz merch popped up on its marketplace. The term refers to the Trump administration's new migrant detention facility in the Florida Everglades. This is like Bush's Guantanamo Bay is moved up to Florida now. It's like Republican presidents love kind of barbaric detention centers, I guess. So now there's merch on Etsy of all places, and so I ask you, who do you blame? Is it the 48% influence duo, meaning that these two men control half of the board influence? CEO Josh Silverman and longest tenured director, board chair, and nominating committee chair Fred Wilson. So two dudes control Etsy, despite the fact. Speaking of Carnival Cruises, your data, Matt, 80% of Etsy's buyers and sellers are women. 80%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And yet,
it's a lot.
The board and the executive team is dominated by those two men, Fred Wilson, Josh Silverman. Do you blame the minus 13% gender influence gap? Remember, I just said, because 80% of buyers and sellers are women. And in fact, their leadership team of 8 only includes 2 women, one of whom, of course, is the head of human resources. So does that count? I mean, when you see a woman as head of human resources, should I even count that as having a woman on your leadership team? I don't know.
No, right?
That's just the way it is
it's
now.
It's just, isn't that the only one who's allowed to have it? I thought that was in the bylaws.
Yes. Or finally, do you blame the company's dumb classified board structure, Matt? Every 3 years, directors come up for election, which is insane. Last year, just this year, just last month, all 3 directors had at least 22% votes against them. So shareholders are angry, but they really are only allowed to be angry at a subset. I don't even know if these are the directors they really want to be angry at. It's hard to know, right? I mean, because the shareholders at Etsy are not allowed to fully voice their thoughts. Only every 3rd year are they allowed to say certain things. And, in the context of all of our discussions about failing board attendance is the only way to kind of get voted out, one of the ways. Matt, at these classified boards, if you fail attendance and you're not up for a vote, how do shareholders get mad at you? Like what? Right?
They write you sternly worded letters.
Isn't that stupid that that's one of the only triggers for some investors to vote against you, and yet you might not be up for vote the year that you failed attendance. But anyway,
of course it's stupid. And then but the problem is like with Jay Bergstrom or whatever, right? Like he joins
Dr. Jay Bergstrom.
He could not go to a single meeting for the first year. And it would say
first 2 years and 10 months.
No, just the first year, if you didn't go to a single meeting, but the second year you went to all of them, right?
Yeah.
You met the percentage, threshold.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're ISS? Do they get tagged as having attended? Do they?
What you should do is write a letter to everyone saying, you know what, we're not going to cover your company anymore because if you don't have if you don't have annual elections, then what are you really doing? You're not. Investors can't have a voice here. But anyway, who do you blame for the Etsy fallout, the Etsy boycott?
Look, do you blame Etsy at all? Is this an Etsy problem? Right? Like, do I want Etsy to not sell? Like, the problem is that, like, there's the Attorney General of Florida is selling the same merch on his website to raise money for his campaign. Yes.
Alligator Alcatraz?
James Uthmeyer or Utmeyer.
Oh my God. So are you going to... Yeah.
he is there. I'm looking at his
He's selling
website.
merch. The Attorney General of a state.
Yep, it's T-shirts, bumper stickers, hats for a prison. And when they announced opening the prison, he announced it by saying, I'm joining President Trump this morning for the launch of Alligator Alcatraz, a new illegal alien detention facility in the heart of the Everglades, one way in and one flight out. And then linked the merch to his own merch site.
Are you going to blame Florida?
This isn't an Etsy problem. This is the problem of a media frenzy around. We know that they want to do terrible things to immigrants. And people who are undocumented or people who are brown. It's not forget immigration status.
So who do you blame?
I'm blaming the state of Florida.
Okay, so you're diverting from the game.
Isn't that the whole thing? Like any company who's operating in Florida, like Disney, continues to operate in Florida, and they donated money to DeSantis in the past. They were happy to sort of pay bribe money to DeSantis to like settle all the bullshit, anti-woke whatever stuff that he was doing, where he took over their special district and then kind of gave it back, but not really. Like all of that stuff, like Paramount is paying, bribe money to the Trump administration. Harvard is in negotiations to settle. All of that is the reason why you have Alligator Alcatraz, and they will raise money on it. It is all to thumb their nose at liberals who lose their minds about alligator. That's, to me, Etsy selling it is not the point, right?
So it sounds like you're blaming the classified board structure. I think that's what you're blaming. Let's move on. It's already been. We've been doing this for a while. Do you want me to do another one, or you want to wrap it up?
I want to do another one. Yeah,
both of them are. But okay, I'll do both. I'll try to go quickly here. The next headline: tokens to access private companies or to investor trouble. Robinhood is latest to offer investors a novel and potentially risky investment opportunity, crypto, that's meant to give exposure to the likes of OpenAI. So they're selling crypto for companies that aren't publicly traded. I mean, that just sounds like horseshit to me. This is from the New York Times. I don't know if you know about this. So what I want to know is, who do you blame? I'm looking at Robinhood because this whole thing sounds borderline illegal and crypty. And OpenAI has already come out and said that, hey, this is bad.
That's not equity in our
This
company.
is not okay. This is not okay. So who do you blame? Do you blame CEO, founder, and chair Vladimir Tenev for having 47% of influence and 24% of voting power? Do you blame Baiju Bhatt? He's another co-founder, 37% of influence and 36% of voting power. Do you blame this pesky Class B share, which gives both of these guys 10 votes per share for their Class B holdings? So they don't actually, despite their voting power, they don't actually control that many shares. You see how that works?
Yeah, that's math, right? That's 10
so do you
times.
Blame the Class B share itself? Or what about this? Do you blame this extremely non-democratic founders voting agreement, which I can't believe this is even allowed. I can't believe institutional investors invest in companies like this. But here's what the very non-democratic founders voting agreement stipulates: that our co-founders have agreed to vote all of their shares in favor of the election of each co-founder.
Oh, that's so cute.
So they are bound together to always support each other. So you cannot break up the power on this board. You can't do anything about this because they are, by bylaw or whatever, they are required to support each other no matter what. That's insane.
Look,
no?
Love stories are hard to come by. It's hard to find love anymore. This is cute.
I mean, that's crazy that one of the shareholders is forced to support the CEO and chair no matter what he does. Think about that. How is that possible? Or finally, do we blame lead independent director Jonathan Rubinstein for being the most pointless lead independent director of all time? Not only is he the lead independent director at Robinhood since 2021, but he was the lead independent director at Amazon.com from 2017 to 2023. This guy is the king of pointless lead independent director work, right? Because who the hell is listening to this guy? I mean, what are we doing here?
Why does Robinhood even bother have a lead independent director? Like,
I know why make a nod at proper corporate governance if you hate corporate governance in the first place?
I mean, you literally gave yourself binding co-votes and 10 times share value.
Think about that. Binding co-vote, no matter what the CEOs, the CEO could be pouring hot cocoa on all his workers. It doesn't matter.
This is like if I fed my kids like Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms 3 meals a day every day, but because I want to be a good parent, I made them brush their teeth once a week, right? Like what we've already. There's no point. Like,
I like that.
There's no point to this.
What do you blame?
I'm going to blame the B share.
Oh, okay. The inanimate B share.
The inanimate B share.
Yeah.
Look, the fact
I hate
is,
that B share.
investors keep investing in companies with B shares. Why do you do that? Like,
I hate
what is the point?
I hate it. All right. That's the right answer, by the way. And finally, let's wrap up Who Do You Blame game for July 8th, 2025 on this banter-free and sound effect-free show. Here's the headline. This is a quick one because I know we want to get out of here. I'm already sweating. OpenAI. Speaking of Sam Altman, were we talking about Sam Altman? I don't know. OpenAI, this is a real headline, says it has hired a forensic psychiatrist as its users keep sliding into mental health crises.
Oh, he's on the job.
Yeah, so this is what the famous college dropout said, that we're developing ways to scientifically measure how ChatGPT's behavior might affect people emotionally. So the company that is maybe responsible for its users entering into a mental health crisis is measuring itself about how the ChatGPT's behavior might be affecting people emotionally. So it's diagnosing itself. You see how that works here?
Yeah. It's a lot like a board giving itself a performance review. Yeah.
Or if you have a corrupt maybe cop on your police force and you assign him to investigate the corrupt activities.
Yeah, I think that was The Departed. Wasn't that the whole plot of The Departed?
So who do you blame? I only have 3 people to blame on this one. Do you blame Sam Altman? This is the untouchable CEO who's even when the board tries to fire him, they basically start a mutiny against he goes to every
man baby fit.
Goes to every news outlet in the world and complains basically that the board is doing its job. I said, what did he say? I don't remember.
I think he said,
wah.
Yeah, I think that between the tears there was some sniffles.
Do you blame Brett Taylor, who magically became chair of this board after Sam Altman?
Brett Taylor for anything.
Had a meltdown that his board was doing its job, so he brought on his buddy Brett Taylor. Or do you blame Sam Altman again? He's the third.
Wow, it's really just two.
Because as it turns out, Matt, Sam Altman is really responsible for the future, partly responsible for the future of the human race, because he is basically running experiments on all of them with his stupid chat bots and his AI and all his dumb things, and he alone is responsible for hiring forensic psychiatrists because he's going to root out even though he has no background or expertise in any of this. He's the one who's going to help us.
I'm going to challenge your premise here. I am going to blame AI itself because it is
the one that Sam Altman helped create, or
But look,
it's the entity that is AI as after it was formed.
If you give birth to a child and you nurture it and you love it, and it goes out and kills a cat, is it really like your fault if you did
as
everything
a parent?
I would
feel the blame.
Look, he's just hiring a psychiatrist as a parent to figure out why is my AI why is my child basically a serial killer? That's all he's trying to find out. That's who I'm blaming. Is there a winner in this game, or is this game just over when it's over?
I think the winner is Saul. What was his name? Saul Ehrlich, the partner at Azoria Investment, the anti-DEI firm, because this guy was a shitty baseball player 18 months ago, had no skills to get hired anywhere, and now he's the partner.
He's the head trader
of a firm that is trumpeting excellence and meritocracy to all the masses.
Was there a lot of trading when you were sitting on the bench in EuroLeague baseball? Were you doing a lot of trading then?
And let me repeat the formula for all those who missed it. The formula for success is to get rid of black people and women. That's the formula of success, because they don't equate to excellence.
But they will get upset if there's no hip-hop on your cruise line. That's Damian Rollis, Hazelnut Rollis. I'm your analyst, Matt Mascardi. We are Free Float. That was the blame game. I always learn something in the blame game. I don't know why this game is so effective for me personally, because that's who we make these shows for. That's all we got for today, but come back on Friday when we wrap the week. We've got a proxy countdown. This week's proxy countdown.
Are we doing one?
We are wrapping up the proxy season, aren't we?
Oh, wow. Okay,
we got a lot of research to do between now and then. We're going to wrap the proxy season. And there is a shareholder primacy podcast coming out on Wednesday.
Yes.
You got to wait for that. Until then.
Banter free, yeah.
Goodbye.